Have you ever felt like your mind just won't stop racing? I used to think mindfulness was something only monks could do. Today, I'll teach you the English you need to talk about being present. Just 5 minutes a day can change how your whole week feels. Let's breathe, listen, and learn together. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Scott. Today we're talking about mindfulness, and specifically, mindfulness for beginners. A few years ago, someone told me to just be present, and honestly, I had no idea what that meant. I remember thinking, present? I'm literally standing right here. But over time, I learned that being present is really about paying attention, on purpose, without judging what you notice. That's actually a simple definition of mindfulness, paying attention, on purpose, without judgment. Let's start with some useful vocabulary. The first word is awareness. Awareness means noticing what is happening around you or inside you. You might say, I'm trying to build more awareness of my breathing. The next word is grounded. When you feel grounded, you feel stable and connected to the present moment. For example, walking barefoot on the grass helps me feel grounded. Another useful word is distraction. A distraction is anything that pulls your attention away from the present moment. You could say, my phone is my biggest distraction in the morning. And finally, stillness. Stillness means a state of calm, with little or no movement or noise. For example, I find stillness when I sit quietly with my coffee before the day starts. Now let's talk about how mindfulness actually works, in plain, simple terms. Mindfulness isn't about stopping your thoughts. That's a common misunderstanding. Your mind will still wander. That's completely normal, and it happens to everyone, even experienced practitioners. The real practice is noticing when your mind has wandered and gently bringing your attention back. Notice and return. That's the whole skill. When I first tried meditating, I lasted about 30 seconds before my mind jumped to my grocery list. Eggs, milk, and suddenly I'm planning dinner for next Tuesday. But instead of getting frustrated, I just smiled and brought my attention back to my breath. That small moment of noticing and returning, that's mindfulness in action. Let's practice a simple mindful breathing exercise together, using some useful phrases. You could say, let's take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. Or, notice how your chest rises and falls with each breath. Try saying this quietly to yourself. I am here. I am breathing. I am okay. Just take a moment now and actually breathe with me. In and out. Good. That's the practice. Let's look at a few more everyday phrases you can use to talk about mindfulness in English. I'm working on being more present is a great phrase to describe your intention. I try to check in with myself means you pause to notice how you feel. For example, every morning I check in with myself before I look at my phone. I'm learning to sit with my emotions means allowing a feeling to exist without immediately reacting to it. You might say, instead of scrolling, I'm learning to sit with my emotions when I feel anxious. These phrases aren't just useful English, they're useful tools for life too. I want to share a quick story about a moment mindfulness really helped me. I was stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting, and I felt my heart racing. I was gripping the steering wheel, frustrated, imagining everything that could go wrong. Then I remembered to just notice. Notice my breath, notice my hands, notice the moment I was actually in. I said to myself, right now, I am safe. Right now, I am simply waiting. My heart slowed down, and the traffic didn't disappear, but my stress did, at least a little. That's the real power of mindfulness. It doesn't change your situation, but it changes how you experience it. Here's another helpful phrase. I'm practicing non-judgment. Non-judgment means observing your thoughts without labeling them as good or bad. For example, when I feel anxious, I try to practice non-judgment instead of criticizing myself. Let's do one more short practice, this time using your senses. This is sometimes called a 5 senses check-in. Notice one thing you can see around you right now. Notice one thing you can hear. Notice one thing you can feel, maybe the chair beneath you or the air on your skin. That simple check-in brings you right back into the present moment. You can use this anytime you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or just distracted. Let's keep going because there are a few more ideas that really helped me understand mindfulness. One idea that changed things for me is the difference between reacting and responding. To react means to act quickly, often driven by emotion, without thinking. To respond means to pause first and then choose your action thoughtfully. You might say, I used to react to stress by yelling, but now I try to respond calmly. I remember an argument with a close friend a couple of years ago. My first instinct was to react, to defend myself immediately and raise my voice. Instead, I paused, took one slow breath, and asked myself, what does this moment actually need? That tiny pause changed the entire conversation and probably saved the friendship. Here's another useful phrase, I'm creating some space. Creating space means giving yourself a moment before you speak or act. For example, before I answer that email, I'm going to create some space and think it through. Let's talk about a common myth about mindfulness, something a lot of beginners believe. Many people think mindfulness means having an empty mind, completely silent with zero thoughts. That's simply not true, and honestly, it's an impossible goal for most humans. Even after years of practice, my mind still wanders constantly. Plans, worries, random songs stuck in my head. Just yesterday, I caught myself mid-meditation, humming a song from a commercial. The goal isn't silence. The goal is simply noticing, without judging yourself harshly for wandering. There's a lovely phrase for this, meeting yourself with kindness. You could say, even when I'm distracted, I try to meet myself with kindness instead of frustration. Let's add a few more mindfulness-related words to your vocabulary list. Overwhelmed means feeling like you have too much to handle emotionally or mentally. For example, by Friday afternoon, I usually feel completely overwhelmed. Centered means feeling calm, balanced, and connected to yourself. You might say, a short walk outside always helps me feel centered again. And unwind means to relax slowly after a stressful period. For example, I like to unwind in the evening with some quiet music. Now, let's talk about building a simple mindfulness habit, because starting is often the hardest part. You don't need 30 minutes. You don't need a special cushion or a quiet mountain retreat. You just need 1 minute and a little bit of intention. Try this phrase as a daily reminder. I'm giving myself 1 mindful minute. You could set a small reminder on your phone and simply say, 1 mindful minute right now. When I started, I only practiced while waiting for my coffee to brew. Just 60 seconds, noticing the smell, the warmth of the cup, the sound of the water. Over time, that tiny habit grew into something much bigger, almost without me noticing. Let's practice one more short exercise, a body scan, which is a classic mindfulness technique. A body scan means slowly noticing sensations in different parts of your body, one at a time. Start by noticing your feet. Are they warm, cold, tense, or relaxed? Now notice your shoulders. Are you holding any tension there? Let that tension soften just a little with your next breath. Finally, notice your face. Let your jaw relax and let your forehead soften too. That's a mini body scan, something you can do anywhere, even at your desk. Let's review the vocabulary we learned today. Awareness, grounded, distraction, stillness, non-judgment, respond, overwhelmed, centered, and unwind. Try using one of these words in a sentence about your own day. Mindfulness isn't about being perfect or never getting distracted, or never feeling stressed. It's about coming back again and again with kindness toward yourself. Every time you notice your mind wandering and gently return, you're practicing mindfulness successfully. That's really all it takes. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one more thought. Mindfulness isn't a destination you finally arrive at, like finishing a race. It's more like a muscle, something you build slowly, one small moment at a time. Some days it will feel easy. Other days, your mind will feel like a storm, and that's okay too. Progress isn't a straight line, and that's true for mindfulness, and honestly, for most things in life. Here's one last phrase for you. I'm being patient with myself. You could say, meditation is hard some days, but I'm being patient with myself. Try picking just one phrase from today, awareness, grounded, or check in with myself, and use it this week. Say it out loud, write it down, or use it in a sentence with a friend. The more you use new English naturally, the faster it becomes part of how you think and speak. Thank you so much for practicing mindfulness with me today. I'd love to know, what helps you feel grounded during a busy day? Leave a comment below and finish this sentence. I feel most grounded when I'll read some of my favorites in the next episode. See you next time, and until then, breathe easy.